This is like you are dwelling within yourself. The knower is acknowledging itself. Looking, seeing, and knowing is always observing itself. This is always adding into itself on and on. You have to open up externally, open up widely, extensively, and continuously. Opening, discarding the opening, it will not be suffering or torturing. You have to make a conclusion to purify it at the same time. Open up normally from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Make a conclusion like this. There is no need to try so much. No need to go against the mind. Leave it be. Then there is no additional. Leave the Vedana or the sensations be. There is no need to go against them or trying to push them down. Then it will not be increasing. Open up normally from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. There is extreme sensation and unbearable and hindrances like this because you are dwelling with it. The more you are dwelling in it, the more it becomes a hindrance. Continue to open up, it will be cut off by itself. When you are dwelling within stillness, it seems unbearable because it is unable to move about. In reality, you have to face samsara. It's impossible to reject samsara because you are in the midst of samsara. Continue to purify in the way that is not about the body or the mind, from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Discard the discarding itself. Let it dissolve the attempt to dwell, which is overlaying. It is actually the cause of the suffering. It is the one that creates and it is the one that takes on its result. Just open from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Continue like this. The reminders discarding the reminders, amidst all the unbearables in the way of opening up. Do not go against it. The more you're going against it, it will be more unbearable. Keep opening up. All the unbearable will be releasing by itself. All the hindrances will release out automatically. What's happening is that you are carrying it. By dwelling within yourself, it's like you are detaining it. Normally, the Vedana or the sensations will not detain itself. The Vedana is anicca and anatta. It always discards itself all the time. But you maintaining it. Maintaining the mind is like you are carrying it. You are carrying the Vedana, the sensations, the unbearable. You are carrying it, you're keeping it. That's why it's staying with you. Normally, the Vedana, the sensations, discard itself all the time. The same as the hindrances. The Vedana and the hindrances are anatta in themselves. They don't stay with you. This is because you are afraid to discard the mind. It turns the mind into the center of Vedana and hindrances. The mind doesn't exist truly. It's just the delusive attachment that maintaining it, that is holding on to it. The mind doesn't grasp for itself. The true mind doesn't grasp for itself. Therefore, let go. Leave it be without holding on to anything. Then it will end all the attempt to dwell. Then it will end all about taking on the result. Don't be afraid to lose the mind. The mind is not needed to be sustained. This is like concerning for the mind, caring for the mind. The mind doesn't actually want itself, but you are practicing it. That's why it's become the center of Vedana and hindrances. That's why everything is from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. This is the conclusion to create, discard the discarding itself, dissolve the dissolving itself, unwinding from unwinding itself. This will not detaining the Vedana and hindrances. It will not become the creator and the one who take on the result. No one who is sustaining anything. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. It's not about sustaining the mind. The mind is natta. It doesn't exist. It's just mistakenly holding on to it, sustaining it, this and that. Is the desire and delusive attachment that is added in the mind. That's why there is accumulation of the Vedana and hindrances. When touching a little bit is already resulting in the way of unbearable. There is no need to be afraid to lose the mind. The mind itself doesn't grasp for itself. Leave it be without grasping for the letting go. In the way of opening up, then the Vedana and hindrances will not be detained. The hindrance doesn't detain itself. The Vedana doesn't detain itself. It's always shifting and changing all the time. The Vedana doesn't grasp for itself. But by practicing to attain, it's like holding on to it. Once you are opening up like this, it will discard itself continuously. It will give up itself continuously, all these hindrances and Vedana, the sensations. There is no need to sustain the mind. There is no need to be concerned with being afraid to lose the mind. This is the state that is fake. The elements, the cause is the attempt to hold on to the mind, trying to grasp for the mind, trying to sustain the mind. This is the root cause of the suffering of all beings, of samsara. Dissolve this. That's why we need to use the conclusion that purifies itself, that which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging. Then it will end all concern about sustaining the mind, maintaining the mind, keeping the mind. The mind doesn't grasp for the mind itself, but the people always grasp for the mind. The mind is anicca and anatta. The state that is anicca and anatta, it doesn't grasp for itself. Therefore, this samsara is composed of the delusive attachments. That's why it's become the form of samsara. Whatever that one is fixated is always circling in its fixation, whether it is body, mind, all things, all elements that is formed up. Whatever that is fixated, it's always delusively fixated to itself, circling in itself on and on. This is the delusive attachment. Without this, it will not become samsara. Therefore, there is the terminologies that purify themselves. This is not about not grasping for anything, not grasping for the non-grasping itself. For Nibbana, it's not about having or not having. There is no need to be afraid to lose the mind. That's why there is something that is resisting from the mind. There is no need to be afraid to lose the mind. Everything is not about grasping within itself. Any states don't grasp for themselves. Any conditions don't grasp for themselves. Form or formless, the mind doesn't grasp for itself as it is. Be enlightened to this truth. In Nibbana, there is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment, grasping or not grasping, not having, even not having itself. That's why it is not samsara. By grasping, it becomes circling samsara, circling within grasping. In Nibbana, it's not having, even not having itself. That's why it not become samsara. Just don't be afraid to lose the mind. Don't care for the state of the mind, having or not having. This will turn into unwinding, discarding the unwinding, letting go of the letting go itself naturally, not grasping for the non-grasping self naturally.